We are already getting a JSON from our Foursquare API, and we know that this JSON already contains the venues that we are supposed to list inside of the new travel page. But so far, we don't really know what this JSON would look like once it becomes C#. And we absolutely need to turn this into C# to be able to use it. And we've mentioned that to be able to do this, we're going to have to deserialize this JSON into C# objects with the help of the newtonsoft.json reference that we added. But the newtonsoft.json reference and one of its classes that will help us deserialize this JSON requires the type to which this is going to be deserialized, meaning that we have to tell them what object is all of this JSON going to be represented by. So what we have to do is evaluate this entire JSON and create the model of the venue and all of the objects that are inside. But don't worry, I know this is a huge JSON and it would take us a lot of time and would be very annoying to do it by hand or to do it ourselves. What we can do is simply select all of this and use one tool that I'm about to introduce to you. So this tool is jasonutils.com. This tool, you can open it on any browser and will allow you to turn into C#, Visual Basic, JavaScript, a SQL table, Java, PHP, TypeScript, a JSON. And so of course, we want right now a C# class, so C# classes, and we can write down the JSON text that we are going to be turning into a URL. So we can get rid of everything that is inside by default, paste the JSON that we are retrieving from the Foursquare API, and click submit. In a matter of seconds now, without us having to really think about it, we're going to have the classes, the C# classes that are going to be representing our JSON. And you can see that the first class right now is the example class because we didn't change the default name. We could have changed that, but we can change that once we copy this on Visual Studio. But this has the meta and the response objects that we saw just a little bit when we were taking a look at the API Explorer. Inside, we have the response. Notice that one of the properties of the example class is a response type. It is this class in here, which has that list of venues that we are very interested in. We're not really interested in this confident boolean, but what we are interested in is this venue class, and it's right here. And in here we have the name, we have some ID, we have some location information, some categories which may be useful, and notice that then category and location are also classes, which are also going to be somewhere in here. Category has a name, a plural name, a short name, and location has an address, a latitude, a longitude, a distance, etc. So really, by just copying the JSON and using this tool, we have turned that huge JSON into C# classes that will now allow us to deserialize the JSON that we have into C# objects. So what I want to do is copy all of this code that was generated by JSON Utils and paste it inside of Visual Studio. So back in Visual Studio, I'm going to close this and stop the application from running, and I want to paste all of that code inside of the venue class. Currently, we have the venue class itself, but you know that we can have more than one class inside of one file. So I am going to add this. And because the venue class already exists, I am going to change this to be venue root. And instead of having the example, I am going to copy this to properties from the example and paste it inside this venue root class. So basically this is going to be the root of the entire JSON, and I can get rid of this example class. Now from the venue root, all I really need is the response. I don't need the meta. So I am going to get rid of meta, and I'm going to search where the meta class is defined, and I'm also going to get rid of it. Moving forward, I have the response. I don't need this confident property, but I do need the venue. And this venue, notice that it's a list. In fact, right now it's using an interface, an iList interface. So we can use this as a list or as another enumerable. Right now we're going to leave it like this. And let's take a look at the venue class, which is huge. And we don't really want the contact information. We do want the location and maybe the categories. But that is pretty much it. Everything besides that I will be deleting. And so we're left with location, name, ID, and categories. We don't need here now, we don't need group, we don't need specials, being here, stats. The category, we do need the category. And here, yeah, I can keep all of these elements. I don't need an icon. And from the location, I am going to get rid of the labeled lat longs. I will keep the rest because that may be useful. I am going to get rid of this lat longs class as well, and of the contact class, finally. And so because I deleted the icon class, I won't be having an icon property inside of the category. This is basically what I am going to need, or what we are going to need inside of the application. It doesn't mean that the JSON is going to get to the application with only this. It just means that once we deserialize the JSON, the object that is being returned will only have this. So we don't have all of this clutter that we are not really going to be using. And so now we have the C# objects, the C# types that are going to be representing our JSON and to which we want to deserialize that JSON. So now that we have taken a look at this, we have evaluated the JSON a little bit, or have the JSON utils tool evaluate the JSON for us, generate the classes, and we have done a small curation of the properties and classes that we really need. In the next lecture, we're going to use these classes for us to deserialize our JSON into C# objects that we can use inside of the application.